ICT roles and career path. Let's take an opportunity now to talk about the trends as they affect ICT careers and perhaps even your place in the industry. I'm going to pick up on some points that Nicholas Carr spoke about in the reading. I think Carr did a good job of looking around the corner and identified some future direction and requirements for ICT professionals. With the advent of cloud computing, the ability to design and run large-scale computing plants will be in demand. Google, Apple, Amazon, and Facebook all run large data centers today. If you're ever in Walla Walla, Washington, you will see several large data centers operated by Google, Yahoo, and several others. Why are they there? Well, close proximity to cheap hydroelectric power. Cloud computing will also require very specific expertise in the area of parallel processing, which facilitates the speedy process of data. Virtualization, a nod back to Alan Turing, and the need to make optimal use of the physical storage and processing. Remember, software trumps hardware. Artificial intelligence, the development of complex decision systems. This helps us make the right decisions with the massive amount of data that's available to us. Energy management, as I alluded to just a few minutes ago. These computers, servers, they do take power and they represent a considerable operating cost. Encryption. With everything in the cloud, security becomes an issue and is pretty darn important. We all want assurance that our information is safe if we store it online. High-speed networking. More data means a demand to process data and to distribute it faster. Big data, as we talked about, will require new skills and techniques in processing and moving all the bits that we want to have access to. Information management and process design. With the increasing availability of software as a service, infrastructure as a service, and even platform as a service, there becomes a demand for people to have the skills to leverage these services with legacy systems and specialized development of solutions. These cloud services are building blocks. There's a need to be able to stitch them together in a rational way to create new products and services, to become a systems broker, if you will, who can not only develop but integrate these off-the-shelf products and open source codes with natively developed systems to come up with new products and services. Then there is non-traditional IT, where information and communication technology have found their ways into industries and products not often thought of as having an ICT component. The two that I am particularly excited about, the first of those is distributed manufacturing. Think of it as a three-dimensional printer, a plastic extruder that can produce parts. Heaven knows a lot of what we buy today and a lot of the parts are made of plastic. But if you take this to the next level, if we can feed in product design through CAD drawing and decision rules that allow for the production of parts, you might even be able to extend this to metal parts. In fact, there's three-dimensional printers for chocolate. What this might give rise to is the rebirth of local production. Imagine companies producing products on demand closer to the customer. The other area is the whole notion of medicine and mobile computing. There are, I think many of you probably know, biomarkers that are, whether they're genetic or physiological changes in our bodies, that are precursors to illness. Imagine if your phone could somehow monitor these biomarkers and let your doctor know. What if you get a call from your doctor saying you should come in because you're going to get sick, rather than making a call and calling the office to make an appointment once you are sick? Several large pharmaceutical companies are doing research in biomarkers and the links to ICT. Now, besides these two, I'm sure there are many other non-traditional uses of ICT that we could come across and think of, but these are two that I think are particularly interesting. Let's take a look at some data for the U.S. ICT industry as it relates to employment and wages and those sorts of things. The source of this information comes from two sources: the Bureau of Labor Statistics, which provides numbers on median salaries and those sorts of things. And I also got some overall industry revenue numbers from the U.S. Bureau of Census. So if you take a look at revenue, which is a way to measure the industry, you can see here the numbers in terms of billions of dollars on how big various segments of the ICT industry are. And that represents about, as near as I can tell, 10% of the economic activity of the U.S. economy. That's a pretty big chunk. The single largest segment of the U.S. economy, I believe, is healthcare, which is right around 17-18%. I would guess that the numbers that I show here are a little bit understated. These are revenues for companies that are specifically categorized as being in either information or communication technology. What's not included in this activity is the ICT that goes on in other industries such as banking, finance, medicine. That economic activity is captured in the numbers for those particular sectors. Probably a little understated, but still pretty substantial nonetheless. Here's the employment numbers. This is for 2012. There's 3.6 million people in the, quote, computer industry, 579,000 in wireline telecom, and 164,000 in wireless telecom. It doesn't quite tell the whole story. There's more information here on this chart. What this provides is the expected job growth rates over the course of the next 10 years, 2012 to 2022, in the various sectors. And it's both percentage growth and the projected number of positions either due to replacement or growth. And you can see the wireline telecom sector not doing so well. It's expected that the employment there is going to drop a little over 10% and lose about 60,000 jobs. In wireless telecom, on the other hand, it's expected to grow about 14% and increase about 22,000 jobs. Probably a indicator of the trend away from wireline toward wireless communication and the growth of mobile. You can see the other numbers here as well. Software developers are expected to grow almost 19% and add about 522,000 new jobs, either due to replacement or growth. Web developers, about 20% growth, with a 51,000 jobs to come online, either due to replacement or growth. Database administrators, 15.1% with 40,000 positions. Information security, 36.5% with 39,000 positions to come online. Network system admins at 11% growth with about 100,000 new positions. And then computer and information system managers, and this also includes project managers in the sector, expected to grow about 15.3% and add about 97,000 jobs. So that gives you an idea of the level of activity, level of employment. Here are the median salaries as of May of 2012. This is the most recent data available. And remember, median means middle. Median means half of the people make more, half the people make less than this particular number. Well, I looked at these numbers in 2010, which is the last time the survey was done, and in every sector except for telecom, wireline, the number has actually increased. You also need to take into account that median salary also means median level of experience and education and qualifications as well. So take these numbers with all of that in mind. So if you're new to the industry and you're a brand new software developer, it's unreasonable to go into your first job and say, I think I should be paid $93,280. But in any case, you can see these numbers here. Software developers, applications, little over $93,000. Software developer systems software, $102,000. Network and computer systems admin, about $76,000. Web developers, about $66,000. Security analyst, about $89,000. Telecom wired, $62,500. That's a decrease. Telecom wireless, about $60,000 is the median income. And then computer and information system managers, which include project managers, about $129,000. That gives you a pretty good idea in terms of both the number of positions in the U.S. as well as what median salary is for a relatively representative sample of
the ICT occupations.
Where do the ICT specialties that are in DEU's programs, where do they fit? I'll refer you back to Tom Tierney's overview of the program that's in the course home section. Hopefully you've all reviewed that. I'm not going to duplicate what he said here because I think he did a good job of mapping out the specialties, particularly to the ACM reading that I asked you to do in this unit. But I did take this chart from that reading. Here you have the continuum of theoretical to applied based on the x-axis. For those of you who are interested in the development of technology, you tend to be in this lower left-hand quadrant. For those of you who are looking to apply technology and technical skills in a business setting in terms of solving business problems, trying to take advantage of new opportunities, working with teams, you'll tend to operate in this upper right-hand quadrant. If you take a look at our program, our specialties tends toward the center and to the right. We at DU tend to be more applied than theoretical. So let's take a look at those specialties, and you can see what I mean here. We gear our program around people who work with others in a business setting. We not only address the technical aspects of ICT, but the soft skills, as Tom describes them, of critical thinking, teamwork, writing, and communication skills. And because we are more in the applied section of the industry, we have a tendency to include those skill sets as well as the technical knowledge that you need in each one of these specialties as described here. Now, there are a lot of trends going on in the industry that we've talked about so far. We talked about the economic shifts away from houses, autos, and cars towards information and content creation as a basis of our economy and how that has driven a fundamental demand for ICT skill sets. We talked about the convergence of information technology and communication technology in which the network is becoming the computer. As information becomes more central to our economy, people who work in ICT will be increasingly sought after, and those skills need to be able to bridge both information and the communication technologies, be conversant both in computer and networking. We spoke about big data and how that will require new skills for software and database designers. We talked about privacy, security, and censorship, and these trends put new demands on security experts, as well as those of you interested in web, software, and database design. The emergence of mobile apps and push technology will place new demands on everyone in ICT. Apps aren't crawlable and not searchable. That certainly changes search. It certainly changes how we will approach the web and what it means to be a web designer. It also actually has implications both on the software and database design as well.
While we really didn't talk about all the mobile patent suits that were going on about 12 to 18 months ago, most notably was the suit between Samsung and Apple, the activity, the legal activity among all the carriers and has somewhat subsided. But it's something to keep an eye out for in terms of protecting intellectual property and taking care that there isn't infringement on either patents or copyrights. Those are things that could, in fact, rear up again and affect the way in which we work in ICT.
And the tug-of-war between net neutrality and network management has the potential to dramatically change how consumers receive content and thus influences the opportunities for those of us in the ICT industry. From a career perspective, what does all this mean? Well, new opportunities will emerge, as will new challenges. Demands for skills and knowledge will change as well. What is in demand now may not be in demand tomorrow. There is no clear career path. Planning a career is not what it once was. But what can we do? Well, what I'd like to do is take a break here and then pick up with part 2, where we'll actually provide you some thoughts with what you do with respect to trying to plan your career.